the United Nations General Assembly, we always stood against the injustices imposed against the Palestinians, and we made a call to the whole international community to be sensitive about those injustices. And we unfortunately see that many international institutions and organizations have difficulties understanding this conflict and the problem that the Palestinians had to endure many years. If the international organization are deliberately overlooking that problem, although seeing it, then unfortunately, most probably they have a different agenda. We have social, economic relations with Israel, just like any other internationally recognized country. So we have political relations with many countries all around the world, in Asia, in Africa, in America, as we are striving to develop our relations with all those countries from all around the world. Of course, we cannot keep a blind eye to develop our relations with this very important country in this region. And our relations can be developed only if Israel has a sensitive stance for the Palestinian issue. But this doesn't mean that we will keep a blind eye to all those oppressions and all those occupations going on for many years, taking place in those sacred lands. And we will never keep a blind eye to those attacks carried out towards our sacred places. The Islamic, the OIC, although the OIC is not embracing this issue to the extent that we desire, we are determined to carry out what our religion and what our belief dictates on us. As a prerequisite of the global and regional needs, we are taking some steps in order to develop our economic relations with Israel, but our Palestinian cause is something totally different. Our ancestors, the Selçukluans, never overlooked to the issue of Palestine, and the Selçukluans fought with the Crusades, and the Ottoman Empire kept above anything else those lands of Palestine and never overlooked to this problem. Our ancestors protected those lands against all the attacks coming from all around the world, and in another saying, our ancestors fulfilled all the duties incumbent upon us by history, by our religion. The last Ottoman troops withdrawing from Palestine, we had a soldier, the Corporal Hassan, stood guard in those lands until his last breath. Although the whole world kept its silence, we will continue to protect those lands, and we will protect our will of protecting Masjid Al-Aqsa until our last breath. Likewise, we have been corresponding with Guterres, the General Secretary of the United Nations, and we have been speaking with the King of Jordan, with Mr. Abdullah, and I have been speaking over the phone with Mr. Abbas, and I have also been speaking with Mr. Herzog, whose sensitivity I trust on. I always reiterated our sensitivity in our talks with all those aforesaid parties. Hopefully, these oppression and violence will come to an end, and everyone, regardless of their beliefs, either they are Muslim, they are Jewish or Christian, will live peacefully in those lands. Dear brothers and sisters, Our army continued with its cross-border operation in order to eradicate our borders from the terrorists. And as of 20th of April, those cross-border operations continue. Together with our air and land forces, and very comprehensive cross-border operation has been initiated against the terrorists. Two of our heroes, two of our soldiers have been martyred. May God rest their souls, and I wish speedy recovery to our injured soldiers. And I also wish God's mercy, and hopefully God will give the necessary patience to their beloved ones. Hopefully God will make those martyrs neighbor to our prophet. With this steel claw cross-border operation, we will eradicate the Iraqi lands from the terrorist organization, and we will take our borders under safety and security. We have been carrying out those cross-border operations in close cooperation with the Iraqi regional government, and I wish success to our soldiers. May God protect them. May God enable them victorious. May their cross-border operation auspicious. Once again, I would like to remind that we are not eyeing on the lands of any other country. Our only aim is to provide stability in our neighboring countries. That is what I would like to reiterate once again. In order to make sure that our neighbors can live under peace and tranquility, we will continue to contribute their political stability. As it has been the case in Iraq, we are acting with the same purposes in Syria. Of course, we didn't come to this point all of a sudden. In our fight against the terrorist organizations for the last 40 years, we did our best to eradicate the terrorist organization in our neighboring countries, and we expected from them to eradicate those terrorist organizations, and that's why we have fought inside of our borders. But no matter what we did inside of our borders, the terrorist organizations which had been raised outside of our borders and penetrating into our borders, unfortunately, we couldn't eradicate and erase them. As this quicksand didn't dry out, the mosquitoes, as a result, increased. As a result, the attacks targeting our lands increased. Of course, we are not overlooking to those terrorist elements outside of our borders, and we have renewed our strategy in terms of our fight against the terrorist organizations. That's why our fight against the terrorist organizations have been expanded to their sources, to their caves. And inside of our borders, together with our police forces and our intelligence agency and with our gendarmeries, we have initiated very comprehensive operations, and we have yielded the results of those operations very quickly. And we made sure that the terrorist organizations cannot carry out any attacks inside of our borders. And as we have expanded our safe and secure areas outside of our borders, we have prevented all those penetrations by the terrorist organizations. The cross-border operations that we carry out in the southeastern provinces of our country is serving to that purpose. Once again, I would like to thank the regional government of Iraq for the close cooperation that they have established with us. There are some terrorist organizations who are trying their best to grow up inside of the Syria, and no one should have any doubt that we will crush the head of this terrorist organization inside of Syria. With all my sincerity, once again, I would like to share with you this reality. Together with our Arabs, our Kurds, our Turks, with our Turkmens, we will be embracing everyone living in the region, and there is only one country who thinks about the safety and security of all those ethnicities in this country, and it is only Turkey. This is the reason why everyone in need asks for the help of our country. Likewise, anyone who is concerned with their safety and security of their lives will not be oppressed by anyone as long as Turkey helps them. Of course, there are no one else who are concerned with our cross-border operations other than the terrorist organizations and their supporters. That's why the HDP once again proves that they are nothing else but the buttresses of and the supporters of the terrorist organization. And once again, we have seen that they are being managed by the Kandil, and I am certain that our nation will give them the necessary answer. Until the Kandil is non-existent anymore, the sine qua non and the reason for existence of this political party, which is managed by the terrorist organization, will come to an end. Taking out of the burden of this political party, who couldn't even seize the opening process, will be one of our best and most important duties. Turkey is always standing against the oppressors, and we always sided with the oppressed. This is the duty incumbent upon us by our civilization and by our history. That's why within this framework, from Syria to Libya, from Ukraine to Palestine, we always presented a moral approach, and we have never given up from our moral and humane responsibilities. It doesn't matter what kind of developments are folding in our region. Our approach and our stance is crystal clear and obvious. We are never opting for hypocrisy. Whatever we think, we articulate it. Whatever we articulate, we execute it. That's why we obtain and win the respect and the trust of the parties who have been waging war against each other. And we are also going one step further. Thanks to the developing infrastructure of our country, we are marching and sailing towards new targets and aims. As we increase our political influence in our region, we are also mobilizing our economic potential. As we have given our promises to our nation, together with investment, employment, production and export, we are continuing to grow Turkish economy. Without a doubt, we have certain problems and challenges, and we are aware of all of them, and we closely follow all those challenges and problems, and we are working on all of them. As we have saved this country from the coup plotters, the terrorist organizations and the economic hitmen, hopefully, we will overcome all those challenges and we will provide a solution to all of those problems.
Rabbimiz Kur'an-ı Kerim'de müteaddit defalar bize mallarımız,
our Creator, our God, in our holy book, commends and reminds us that we will be questioned with our assets. Iraq and Syria They have lost 2.1 million people in their war consecutively. And the Ukraine is right now losing their citizens, and we have lost 40,000 of our people in our fight against the terrorist organization. Only God knows which nation would face what kind of an exam. Thanks to God, all those crises, all those challenges are not leading us to being unthankful. If we fall into that trap, then the greater calamities will fall upon us. Thanks to God, we are living in a country where the safety and the security of the lives are taken under guarantee. Thanks to God, we are living in a country which is the source of hope for all our brothers and sisters outside of our borders. Thanks to God, we are living in a country where anyone who is willing to work can find themselves a job. And thanks to God, we live in a country in which there is a rising economy, even when the global logistics are being destroyed. Thanks to God, we live in a country where the democracy flourishes, where the wheels of economy are still turning. Thanks to God, we live in a country whose strength is reaffirmed again and again. That's how we tackle all those matters, and with a great level of bravery, we execute our political program for the future. Turkey is not only solving the problems of today, but we are also stepping the necessary steps for the future. Our nation is witness to our endeavors. After we have come to office with all those services we provided to our nation, with all those masterpieces we constructed for them, we have always strived for increasing the prosperity and well-being of our people. Whenever there was an attack or a challenge or a calamity in these lands, we mobilized all the resources of our state for our people. It is obvious what we have done throughout the pandemic. The fluctuations in the forex as a multiplier effect had negative ramifications on our economy, and when that happened, we stood by our nation. We provided many economic aid packages to our people throughout the pandemic process, and all those unfortunate events taking place in Black Sea, unfortunately, aggravated the economic situation. And we have been closely following the increasing level of global inflation and its negative ramifications on our people. So we are aware of what kind of an exam we are giving right now. That's why we should be embracing to our 2023 targets, and we should be embracing our solidarity, unity and brotherhood. That's why we are focusing only on our responsibilities, and we build all those masterpieces and open them to service. This amazing view of the 1915 Çanakkale Bridge is still in front of our eyes. And in other fields, after finishing and completing our preparations, we will herald the good news with our nation. In the past, Turkey was praising itself by building a flagstaff, but right now we have carried out many success stories, and let's watch our success stories with all those examples.
Right, we're listening to Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan speaking at a AK Party group meeting in Parliament, addressing his MPs. He's touched upon the latest attacks by Israeli security forces against Muslim worshippers in the Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied East Jerusalem, as well as Turkey's latest cross-border military operation in northern Iraq, dubbed Claw Lock, aimed at making ground against the PKK terror group. For more on this, let's cross over now to our diplomatic correspondent, Andrew Hopkins, who joins us now from Ankara. Andrew, a range of issues that was touched upon by the Turkish president in this weekly address to his party's members of parliament. What were some of the highlights for you?
Well, I think there are two big issues there, as you mentioned, which dominated this speech to AK Party members in Parliament. One of them was the cross-border